Sweet baby heavens, why do my kids have so many toys?
We do all the toy rotations, all the organization, all the teaching our children to pick. And no, I still have multiple overstimulated, sobbing, crying meltdowns over this room at least once a week because there are always toys everywhere.
Do you know the impact of advertising on your kids?
And
this is
how do you
crazy.
protect your kids from being totally influenced by just the ads that are everywhere?
And in addition to being sold individual products, they're being sold a very consumerist, materialistic point of view, attitude towards the world, basically.
There is exceptional pressure on parents to buy more and more and more toys to make their kids happy.
In the moment, it's like every time I go to Target, she gets a little thing. Every time we go to the store, she gets a little thing.
I'm so overwhelmed and I feel like I am drowning in toys and I'm ready to throw them all away.
We all know that kids today have an abundance of toys, but do we truly understand how excessive it's become? Toys that were once reserved as presents for special occasions are now casually given out without much thought. This treatment of toys as a disposable commodity not only diminishes their value, but also shifts how kids perceive them, turning toys into quick sources of dopamine that lose their appeal once that excitement fades. The constant flow of material goods has desensitized children to the point that toys have lost their original purpose, and what was once a tool for imaginative play has become a source of distraction, hindering the very creativity it was meant to nurture. As a self-proclaimed minimalist mom who is very intentional about what toys I bring into my house, I will say I was shocked by the impact of too many toys and how little too many toys actually is. We have a lot to talk about today, so buckle up as we dive into the commercialization of childhood and how too many toys has ruined play. If your home seems to be overrun by too many must-have toys that your child once adored and now wants nothing to do with, the good news is that you're not alone.
Just because you guys always say my house is so minimal, well, you guys haven't seen my playroom.
The hoarding of toys has been gradually increasing year over year to the point that now the average American child receives over 70 new toys a year. That number might seem like a lot, but when you look at all the opportunities that children have to receive new toys between fast food restaurant toys, birthday presents, Valentine's Day presents, trick-or-treating, and whatever else you choose to celebrate.
Can we get the bill, please? Oh, can we get the bill?
Louie, inside voice.
Oh, can we get the bill?
I think the number is actually smaller than I would have expected. Oh, also vending machines, getting little bouncy balls, that kind of stuff counts too. And this, of course, is an issue that's focused in on North America, as we are the continent of gluttony. In the United States, we have 3% of the world's children and 40% of the world's toys. And that has gotten us to the point where now the average American child owns over 150 toys. Not surprising when you're seeing that they're getting 70 new toys a year. There's a lot of reasons why we found ourselves in this position, some of those reasons innocent, some not so innocent. But before I get into that, let's take a moment to talk about today's sponsors. I made the switch away from aluminum deodorant quite a few years ago, but a lot of people have struggled to find one that actually works. This is because most of these deodorants just use fragrance to cover odor rather than eliminating the odor. Lume, on the other hand, has changed the game with their deodorant that is clinically proven to block odor all day and continues controlling BO for 72 hours. Rather than masking bad smells, Lume deodorant uses mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Lume was invented by an OBGYN, Shannon Klingman, who set out to make a skin-safe, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, paraben-free, and pH-optimized deodorant that you can use anywhere on your body. My mother-in-law actually introduced me to Lume at the start of this year with their cream deodorant, and since then I've expanded my use to their wide range of products. I've now switched to their stick deodorant for my pits. The cream deodorant I still use because of its versatility. It can be used like the stick deodorant, but is more versatile for things like in the summertime when I'm wearing dresses. I like to put it between my thighs to prevent chafing, a common hack for us women. And then there's the body wash, which is clinically proven to remove odor better than traditional body wash. And they do also have wipes, which are really nice for on the go if you ever need to freshen up. Right now, if you're interested in trying Lume, for a limited time, they have holiday bundles available, so it's a perfect time to stock up if you're a new or returning customer, or if you're just looking for some stocking stuffers this holiday season. And just for my followers, Lume is offering $5 off and free US shipping on orders over $30. That's when you use the link in the description below and use code Ashley. Life is too short to be overpaying for poor quality and uncomfortable underwear, and that is why I'm excited to be working with Parade today. Parade makes size-inclusive, ultra-comfortable underwear made from reused materials, usually wasted in production processes. Their size inclusivity means that you are sure to find your fit between sizes extra small to 5XL, depending on the style. My favorite Parade underwear is from their Replay line, which is buttery soft and made with 360 stretch, which means it flexes to your movement and never digs in. My styles of choice are the high-waisted brief and the boy short, which come in the colors 8-ball, balloon, blushing rose, and crown blue. The biggest selling point for me is the cost. Underwear can get really expensive, but at only $12 a pair, you won't be breaking the bank for your clothing necessities. However, with it being Black Friday week, that price goes down to $6 a pair with my code EMBERSBF, and that gets you 50% off everything site-wide with no minimum purchase and includes things beyond underwear like this bodysuit, also from the Replay line. But this is a limited time deal, so if you're interested, head over to yourparade.com/EmbersBF or just click the link in the description for all your undergarment needs this holiday season. Thank you to Lume and Parade for sponsoring today's video, and to all of you who maybe sometimes make a purchase or just let me chat your ear off about products that I like. Now let's get back to children's toys. For people who love your child, buying a cheap toy is an easy, maybe too easy, way of showing that love, whether the toy was welcomed or not. This is also a way that people escape the guilt of not spending enough time with kids by using the toy as a band-aid solution.
The psychology behind gift giving. Giving too many gifts is a problem. Now, it's proven that when you receive a gift, neurotransmitter dopamine is released, that chemical that makes us feel happy. Experts have also said that gift giving can be a sign of codependency, but also one may feel more valued by what they can give as a gift more so than what they can give as a person, which I thought was super interesting.
We also just know that it feels good to shower kids with gifts. Us parents obviously adore giving our children gifts because of how happy it makes them, but at the same time, sometimes these toys are coming from the parents thinking that the kids need them or that the toys will solve some problems. At least that's where I found myself struggling the most. I would think, and honestly still think sometimes, that if I buy just the right toy, it will entertain my child until the cows come home and I won't have to deal with boredom anymore. I really leaned into this when my eldest dropped his nap because I work during nap time and I didn't know what to do without those nap hours. So off to the mom influencers I went, trying to find the perfect toys to entertain my kids so I can work a little bit. And these mom influencers are really good at what they do. It's almost like modern day infomercials where they're selling you solutions to problems you didn't know you had. And oftentimes they're just gimmicks anyways. Like, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I bought that little crab toy that like scurries around. I guess, yes, it did entertain my child, but it's so loud and the music doesn't turn off. It just wasn't a useful toy in the end. So as you can probably conclude for yourself, a lot of the time these toys don't solve any problems, but it is just so easy with a click of a button with an Amazon link to get same-day shipping, just crossing your fingers, hoping that this time my child will actually like the toy. But the kicker is, though, that sometimes the toy would work and my kid would be entertained for hours. But even then, when a toy worked, it wouldn't end there, because if one remote control car solved my problem today, then another toy will probably solve my problems tomorrow. And so the cycle continues of constantly trying to find the next best toy to entertain my child for whatever age development stage they're at. And I know I'm not the only one who's a part of this. This is how we have so many Amazon links on TikTok and Instagram. The point being, in a world where parents have to do it all on their own and the only village we have is a drill and screw set on Amazon, we're gonna take it as it's the only option available to us. But even besides the never-ending cycle of toys that will change your life, there's an even bigger reason why Americans are buying more toys for children of all ages, and that is from the promise of fast-tracking your child's development. The rise of developmental toys is one that only makes sense in a capitalist market. If toys are being broken down into not just ages, but month to month developmentally, then there's more money to be made. If you don't know what developmental toys are, they're made for a specific skill set that your baby or child is capable of, and sometimes a little bit more advanced so that they can work towards that skill. This can look like toys that encourage sound location, toys with mirrors to identify familiar faces, small pieces to grab by pinching for hand strength and hand-eye coordination, balancing toys, numbers and letters toys. There's a toy for pretty much any skill and age. And while these toys won't necessarily harm your child, they do sell a false idea that they'll fast track their development. And this is just something that toys are not capable of doing.
Whatever you do, do not spend money on products labeled Montessori. Whether it's Montessori toys, Montessori stools, Montessori eggs, I don't know what kind of products they're coming up with, but you don't need them. They are severely overpriced. Unfortunately, a lot of companies use Montessori to market their products when Montessori was actually an anti-capitalist movement and not at all focused on making money. So before buying any Montessori products, please just think to yourself, do I actually need this? And is there any cheaper alternative to this? Like the Montessori bed, you could just get a mattress and put it on the floor. Or a Montessori egg. You could give your child an egg to play with.
No special toy or special quantity of toy will fast track your child's development quicker than they naturally would have otherwise. Emily Patillo, a developmental therapist, says, parents have this idea that if they just put kids in front of an educational toy or program, they'll strengthen their language skills. The trouble with this, for example, is that language is not one-sided. It requires back and forth between baby and caregiver. So these toys that claim to support language development are hardly advantageous because they're missing the crucial component, which is parent interaction.
What is the best toy for your baby's brain development? You!
But selling development is great for sales, and it puts more and more pressure on parents to think that their child is falling behind, and no parent wants that. Whatever the case, children's stores are stocked to the brim with toys heralding huge developmental gains for even the smallest of babies, preying on parents' desires to do right by their children. The problem doesn't stop there though, unfortunately, as there are some educational toys that can actually stunt development. As this study found, babies who played with flashy electronic devices, such as those promising to speed up language and cognition, had far less productive playtimes. They found during this play both parents and babies were less vocal than the pairs who played with more traditional toys. When we get down to it, these toys take the control of learning out of the child's hands and into the hands of executives at big toy companies. But this learning and creativity that comes so naturally to children shouldn't be forced, especially when it's just coming from the North American pressure to get ahead. Now, I think some of you may be ready to call me a hypocrite, as if you've followed my motherhood journey, you know that I was always a big advocate for developmental toys. And what can I say? Like, sure, I fell for it, but I also did find some of these toys helpful. I don't want to name companies because I do think some of them have good intentions. And the thing that I liked about the toys, besides a promise of developing them quicker, is that they made toys that were entertaining for a certain age category. So when I only had one child who was looking to entertain because I needed to cook dinner or take a shower or whatever, having toys that weren't too simple or too complex for my child's age was really helpful. Once I had my second child, all those developmental toys just collected dust. Because why would I bring out these age-specific toys when my kids are going to be entertained by each other anyways? I've heard this from other parents as well, that after they've had multiples, the requirement of toys goes down because they can all just self-entertain for the most part with some toys, but you just don't need so many because they can figure out how to play on their own.
My husband and I have come to the realization that maybe baby toys are a scam. We were trying to figure out why our fourth baby, plays so much better on her own than our first baby ever did. And it's because she's not playing with baby toys. She has access to Magnetile, she has access to kid dinosaurs and like diggers and things that are not marketed to babies. And I'll tell you what, she plays so much better with toys that are not baby toys.
So I really don't think these toys are useless. I found good use for them, but you definitely should stay away from some of those ultra-stimulating electronic educational toys. Point being though, development is not a race and play is not an advancement opportunity. As Kim Payne says in Simplicity Parenting, you don't actually want your child developing fast because each step of development is critical to the growth and function of the body. In our hurry to have our children walk or in the anxiousness to serve them, we may cause them to skip stages essential for neural development. But despite fast-tracking development not being good for children, we won't be seeing the end of overpromising and overselling to parents because the mom economy is a hot commodity. So this brings us right into the pressures of the toy marketing industry. The toy business is booming as per usual, with the massive amount of money coming from parents just wanting to buy their kids a good childhood. Forbes estimated the value of the new mom economy to be nearly $50 billion, and it's still growing.
Marketing is most effective, and we as consumers are most susceptible to marketing when something in our life feels hard or really out of control. which is why parenting is the perfect example to use, because when you're parenting, it's hard and you feel out of control. So when a company comes along and says, pay this amount of money and we'll help you feel better about that situation, it is a very tempting offer.
Marketing to children is one of the most lucrative industries because, of course, children are so susceptible to wanting anything fun-looking. Make it flashy and noisy and with branded characters, and kids can't resist. As well, by targeting kids directly, they can use what Kim Payne calls pester power, which is a child's ability to nag their parents into buying something that they otherwise wouldn't have purchased.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
And the exploitation of this is easy because, as we know, kids are pushy and parents are weak, myself included. Side note, I was at Costco for Finn's birthday and he pointed at a Bluey toy and said he wanted it. He's 2. And I was like, well, it's your birthday. I have to get it. It's the most useless toy we've ever gotten, and I'm in denial that I should get rid of it. I feel like I'm only going to make myself look bad in this video, but what can I say? I try. Marketers have only taken note, increasing their spending on advertising to children from $100 million in 1983 to more than $16 billion a year now. Even before mothers have their first child, they're still pressured into buying all these things that supposedly babies need. And it's only gotten worse with our phones listening to us now, because as soon as you know you're pregnant, the algorithm already knows. And that thing has more pester power than a 3-year-old.
When I was pregnant, I felt like I was such a victim to consumerism. I felt like I needed all these products and I didn't know what to get. I just added all these things to my registry thinking that they were like solid.
You can bet that I dealt with this as well. When I was first pregnant, I felt like I was drowning in all these must-have baby items, and that's kind of what led me into the minimalist motherhood niche, as I was trying to bring some order and peace to other moms who also felt like there was just too many baby things we needed to get. And as time has gone on, we found that we're drowning in more and more toys as things have gotten cheaper and cheaper. A toy that cost $20 in 1993 would only cost $4.68 today. That's crazy. With everything else being so inflated, it's crazy how cheap toys have gotten. As a side note, I personally think this is something we can thank the beige moms for, as they've put pressure on the toy industry to reintroduce real materials into the market instead of everything just being like BPA plastic. And while most of the time these toys do still have the beige mom tax on them, at least the option is there. Either way, this overall decrease in the price of toys is a double-edged sword. While it means toys are more accessible for those of lower income, it also means more toys accumulate.
I need to stop buying toys for the twins. Coming back from holidays where we practically had no toys for the entire 5 weeks, I've just noticed how much stuff we have and how we are leading a life of overconsumption, specifically in the toy department. I got really sucked into just like buying them things all the time because they're only a couple of dollars or it was on sale, and we have more than we need.
This price drop in toys is both a blessing and a curse for young parents. Lower price tags don't necessarily mean parents aren't spending less on toys, just that they're getting a higher quantity and a lower quality for their money. And that's how we found ourselves with way too many toys that aren't actually even helping our kids but hindering them. Getting into the meat and potatoes of this video, let's talk about how this overload of toys is actually affecting the kids. The problem with so many toys is that there are just too many choices. Choices can be good for children as it can give them a little bit of autonomy in their day-to-day, but too many choices can be damaging. Even us adults, when faced with too many decisions, can struggle with decision-making. So imagine being a small child faced with a massive mountain of toys and unsure where to start. The sensory overload a child feels when every surface, dresser, and corner of their closet in their room is covered and filled with toys leaves them with decision fatigue. Too much stuff steals the child's attention and doesn't allow for a child-led play experience. And this is why children will come to you saying they're bored even though they have a million toys in front of them. The clutter is preventing children from focusing and getting deep in play.
Buying more and more and more toys to entertain our kiddos and keep them happy is a vicious cycle that a lot of us get sucked into. Research has shown that too many toys in the playroom can make it really hard for a little brain to focus. So as brains are developing, kids have a hard time filtering out what's called non-relevant stimuli. So that's items in their environment that their brain is picking up on that they can't filter out. As brains develop, when we become adults, we learn how to filter out non-relevant stimuli better than children can. But it's very difficult for them to focus in a playroom that has hundreds of options of toys, which a lot of our playrooms do.
And the thing with children's play is that it's actually of cyclical nature. If you think of how children always are asking for the same shows and repeating the same games and always wanting the same costumes, this is because they're learning from their play, not just being entertained. And the reputation, oh my gosh. Can you tell I'm a Swiftie? And the repetition is what helps their development. The valuable repetition in play refers to the thinking process. When a child experiments with the same objects and gets different results, that's when their repetition is allowing them to learn about the world. Therefore, toys that facilitate creative play, such as building blocks, also allow repeating the same processes and getting slightly or vastly different results. When overwhelmed with options, kids don't get to repeat much of anything and can't concentrate on one toy long enough to learn. This overwhelm of choices also leads to children undervaluing toys and feeds self-entitlement. When they can expect another toy always on the way, they don't take the time to learn how to make fun with the toys they already have. And the joy of the toy only comes from the dopamine hit of receiving it, not from actually playing with it. This also makes me think of the Amazon delivery dopamine rush and how the joy and excitement we feel when a package is coming is only from the anticipation of the package, not from what the package actually is. Kim Payne says, "Children given so very many choices learn to undervalue them and hold out always for whatever elusive thing isn't offered. Their feelings of power from having so much authority and so many choices mask a larger sense of vulnerability. I can choose this toy or this one down here or that. They're all mine, but there are so many that none of them have value. I must want something else."
If you're looking for a sign to stop subscribing to overconsumption culture, this is it. Like, I just want to give her everything. Like, I love her so much. I just want to give her everything that I possibly can. I want her to always be happy. I adore the sparkle in her eyes when she gets a new present or a new toy. Like, it lights me up inside. And so for the first 5 years of her life, I've bought her a lot of things. And in the moment, you know, it's like every time I go to Target, she gets a little thing. You know, every time we go to the store, she gets a little thing. And it just, in the moment, it doesn't feel like a lot because each item is so small, but then that accumulates over the course of several years to become just mountains of things, plastic, toys, things that she doesn't even really care about and doesn't even really play with. And I've noticed, especially in the last year when this kind of realization has begun to formulate in my mind, that she'll play with something new for like a couple times and then it just loses all of its novelty and it sits on a shelf collecting dust, and maybe she plays with it like once a month, if that. The clutter and like the more things that they have, the less they appreciate what they do have. And the more toys that she has, the less she cares about her toys or appreciates her toys.
And so by continuously throwing toys at children, we're just teaching them that they're the center of the universe, and when they want something, they get it. The honest truth of the matter is that toys more often than not disrupt play instead of encouraging it. There's actually a study done that proved this. In the study, they took groups of kids, put them in rooms with their parents with a varying quantity of toys. In one play scenario, the kids were given 16 toys, and in the other play scenario, they were given 4. As you can expect based on how this video is going, the kids with only 4 toys played way longer. Children presented with fewer options actually engaged more deeply in play. They stayed focused longer and used the toys available to them in more imaginative ways. Playing with toys deeply and for longer also helps encourage problem-solving skills, as they don't have another option, so they have to figure out how to play with the toy in front of them. If a child gets frustrated with a toy they can't figure out how to use, they'll be tempted to move on to an easier one if there are tons to choose from. If they're limited by what's available, they're more likely to take the time to figure it out. We love seeing kids playing with their toys, and so we naturally think more toys will equal more play, but that's just not how it works. An endless supply of toys makes play about the things adults provide, rather than the inherent ability of children to create and discover based on what's organically around them. So if you haven't picked up on it yet, the purpose of play is not for just entertainment, but it's a child's version of work. It's how they learn by imagination, creativity, problem solving, even mathematics and self-esteem just by playing deeply for extended periods of time. The type of play is what's most important, as unstructured and make-believe play allow for this cognitive development. As Kim Payne says, kids are not monks who can meditate for hours a day, but they do the equivalent when they are involved in play, deep, uninterrupted play. So then the next question, which was my biggest question in all of this, is what toys are actually good and which ones are bad then? One rule we can pull from what we've already discussed is that we want toys that allow for open-ended and repeatable play, but also ever-changing play. And to do so, you don't necessarily need very many toys at all. One of the most surprising things I found in my research is that a lot of people suggest not doing toy rotations, despite how popular they've become. I, for one, have always been such a big advocate for toy rotations because it allows your children to not be overwhelmed by their toys because there's only a few out at a time. The thing is, apparently, if they're given a set amount of toys that allow for open creative play, then they won't need anything rotated in. This is because they can change their play without changing their toys. Because if they're only presented with closed loop toys, then they'll never get deep into play and will always be asking for new toys brought out.
Why I stopped toy rotations weekly for my toddler from a mom and also a teacher who specializes in early childhood. I noticed such a big impact on my child's play when I stopped rotating his toys every week. I've been rotating them since he was about 1. I would take everything out besides the big stuff like his kitchen, his table, and then I would put all new toys in. And I was finding that he'd be really interactive with his new toys for like the first day or two, and then he was quickly becoming bored. And then I realized he didn't know how to be bored, and that his boredom wasn't sometimes leading to him thinking more creatively on how to play. And so instead of trying to swap out toys every single week, I've now just laid out very open-ended toys for him, like blocks and Legos, and he's a car guy, so lots of cars, and they're just out all the time. When he does get bored, it's making him think differently and making him use his toys in different ways. And I think that's a problem that the toy rotation was causing for us, is that he was just waiting for new toys all the time.
This is something I've experienced many times. I'll do a toy rotation and then 20 minutes later, the kids are asking for new toys. This is because with closed loop toys, kids are only experiencing exploratory play, where play is just examining and investigating the toys in front of them. They don't allow kids to get deep into pretend play and creative play and construction play, and so they get bored quickly. And the key is they don't have a way to get out of that boredom. For example, consider a puzzle. On its surface, it's a great way to teach kids to think critically and solve a problem. It may even entice them if they know at the end there will be a picture of their favorite character. What happens though when they've finished the puzzle? There's nothing more to do with the toy. All they can do is perform the same task again. The same can be said of Lego build kits. The child only learns to follow instructions to accomplish a specific goal. After they've finished their siloed task, a child quickly loses interest. It's a real dead end, and the child has only learned how to be a good robot. Follow the instructions and build this. They haven't used an ounce of creative thinking. Only having one set of toys for kids also gives them the opportunity to learn how to cope with difficult situations, like being bored with the same toys, and builds character as they're forced to flex their free play muscles. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Children need to find ways to cope with difficult situations. They need to learn that they can. So specifically, what toys are good and what toys are bad? Well, the general idea I've gathered from my research is that there isn't a perfect set type of toy, but some of these suggestions include dump trucks, dolls, building blocks, tea sets, wooden animals, puppets, puzzles, and board games. Then suggestions for outside toys include a sandbox, the swing set, hopscotch, and games of hide and seek and catch. The bad toys I've come across are mostly just educational and electronic toys that are trying to teach a kid the ABCs. Branded characters are also on the no-go list because it limits the play to only what the character would do and also poses a risk of the child outgrowing it when, say, they're too old for Bluey. Overall, toys that just allow one way of play, like shape sorting toys, ball drops, play kitchens, doctor sets, puzzles, most electronic toys, and anything with an instruction manual on how to play. Writing this video has been quite the wake-up call for someone who's claimed to be a minimalist, especially with kids things. We live in a small house, and so I'm always trying to downsize the kids stuff and be, like I said, intentional about about what comes in, but apparently there was still a better way of doing this. Things like hearing that kitchen sets are closed loop toys was quite shocking because we have one, but then I really thought about it and realized that the kids don't really use it as a kitchen. The little microwave has never been used as a microwave. It's usually just a table for them or like a storage device. Not to say that other kids don't use their kitchens as kitchens, but it's really made me think about whether or not my kids are actually doing open-ended play with the toys I'm giving them. So after learning all this, I did go ahead and get rid of a bunch of toys. I think I got rid of maybe 50% so far. Anything age-specific made for development, I definitely got rid of. Anything that only had one way of playing with it, that's also gone. I did also go ahead and buy some toys, which I know was the problem in the first place, but I'm trying to be way smarter about what I'm buying. I saw someone on TikTok say that instead of getting a bunch of different toys, you should get a lot of one toy so that they can get deep into that play.
This is my best tip for young moms when it comes to toys. More isn't always more until it is. You don't need a bunch of different toys. You need a bunch of the same toys. Train tracks, it's not fun if you only have one set of train tracks. You need a bunch of train tracks to get really creative with them. That also goes for Legos, magnetiles, marble runs. Most of the time, more isn't more, but sometimes it is.
And I really like that idea. Now, I don't want this video to be an advertisement to go buy more toys that will solve your problems. That's how we found myself here. But if you do find that all your kids' toys are closed loop toys, maybe a good idea would be to start switching those out with some more open-ended toys. Now for the best part, what actually happens when we reduce the toys and only give open-ended toys? Well, the overwhelming response has been that kids play deeper and longer and learn more. They do still get bored like any other kid, but when they're forced with that boredom, they have a route out of it because their toys allow for it.
Several years ago, I took away all of my kids' toys, every single last one of them. Let me tell you how it went. My kids were about 7, 5, and 4 years old, and the toys were ruling the house, and I was done. I decided to bite the bullet. I took away all of their toys. They had paper glue and scissors up in the kitchen, but as far as the toy room was concerned, it was empty. I packed them all away. They were gone in boxes in the storage room where they couldn't see them and couldn't find them. And I told my kids they were not going to be able to have toys for a whole week. And of course, there was whining and there was crying, and then they got over it. And then they decided to play with each other and play outside. And at the end of a week, they didn't ask for their toys back, so I didn't give them to them. We ended up going an entire extra week without asking where the toys were, so I didn't give them back at the end of 2 weeks. At 2.5 weeks, my boys came to me and they said, "Mom, where did our Legos go?" I said, "Great, you want Legos? Here are your Legos." And I only gave them back their Legos, which carried us through for 3 months.
The idea is to ignite the imagination and engage the thinking process to realize that these building blocks can be turned into many things: a castle, a truck, a dog taking a nap, etc. Let the photos inspire, let the blocks be simply blocks. Let the child's mind fill in all the gaps in between. It's been found that when children have less toys, their imagination becomes more fully developed, their attention span becomes longer, their social skills are enhanced, they take better care of the things they have, they improve their problem-solving skills, they share better, and for us, there's less clutter. After saying all that, I do want to go back into their closet and get rid of more stuff. If you're wondering specifically how the results have been for us, I haven't gotten rid of the toy rotation yet, but I'm working towards it. I do also feel like with us living in a small house, even if we only have 10 types of toys, I would still only want to put like 1 or 2 out at a time because it can just get too chaotic too quickly. To talk on specifically which toys have been working really well for us, the favorites right now are magnetiles / Picasso tiles because they're cheaper, Duplo, which will one day transition into Lego, train sets, loose people and animals, a variety of vehicles, balance beams. I also want to get the kids a balance board for Christmas. For crafts, we love Play-Doh, kinetic sand, and then just your regular craft materials. And the rest is still undetermined. Honestly, I feel like I could just have those toys and be fine, but I'm a little scared still. I have a lot of play kitchen items, which the kids will play with. Like they will use their ice cream set as ice cream, but they'll also take their magnetiles styles and pretend that they're ice cream. So I'm wondering, do I even need the play food sets? But on that note, the biggest note, play has gotten so much easier since getting rid of the closed loop toys and getting rid of most of the toys. Right now, I'm putting one toy out, maybe two, depending what the toy is, and Rook will play for hours, uninterrupted, happily playing on his own. If Duplo's out, then it's only one toy out because we have a lot of Duplo and he can do anything with it. He also always has his stuffies and his books in his room if he cares to play with those. Sometimes it does take him a few minutes to settle into play and he'll tell me that he's bored or that he wants this or that other toy, but it's actually magical when he figures it out and locks into play. He's so happy and content with what he's doing, and I'm just over here mind blown that all I had to do was get rid of a bunch of stuff. It's also just so special to see your kids get deep into play and experiencing them flexing those imagination muscles to help guide them through their play. It's such a beautiful experience. These growing pains are very normal when faced with simple toys, but once they dive in, they're locked in. As it's put by Kim Payne, with fewer distractions, their attention expands, their focus can deepen, and they have more mental and physical space to explore the world in the manner their destiny demands. It's actually so amazing that once we stop trying to fill our children's room with a pre-made form of imagination, then they have space to use their own ideas for play. Final thoughts. This video has been so interesting to make and very applicable for me, obviously. It's been very liberating finding out that more toys doesn't equal more play, and it takes the mom guilt off of when you feel like your kid is missing out on a toy that other kids have. It also wasn't by accident that this video is coming out right before Black Friday to kick off the Christmas season. My hope is that you will enter this holiday season with strong boundaries, knowing what toys you are willing and are not willing to let into your house. I know for myself, it'll be a lot easier when people start coming around asking what the boys want for Christmas, that I have a grand total of like 5 things that I want to add on to the toys that they already have. Things like more Picasso tiles, Lego, and some Yodel cards, and clothes and other things they might need. I also hope this video didn't stress you out, as I know it can be very overwhelming facing years of the accumulation of toys. The good news is that decluttering isn't a race, and you can just go toy by toy, asking whether it sparks imaginative play or not, and make your decision there. You know, for me, I am not speeding through this. But overall, I do want to encourage you to make a move with your kids' toys, as it's been such a positive experience for us, and other moms I've heard have done this as well. These years of young childhood are so precious and also so important for self-development and emotional growth and well-being. And who would have thought that the best gift you can give your kid is not a gift, but the freedom to play and explore unrestricted.
What are those trendy wooden baby toy companies really selling? When you receive a curated box of organic, sustainably harvested Baltic birch baby toys, you forget about the projectile vomit or the teething pain that kept you up all night, and instead drift away to dreams of frolicking in the park with your baby, whilst they artfully arrange a bouquet of wildflowers before sitting down peacefully for a gourmet picnic, and before you know it, you're being auto-billed $120 for next month's subscription box.